Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here. Great for recovering alcoholic addict, just like every day, guys. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a like, and drop me a comment, and by all means share it with anybody that might get something out of it. Other than that, guys, we're gonna go right back to the Just for Today NA meditation. And again, it's a takeoff because I'm trying to tell this to anybody, because literally these lessons can apply to everybody, but they're absolutely super applicable to anybody in early recovery or fighting addiction. So the topic for today is we do recover, and I love this one, guys, because this one strikes. And again, I know I say this all the time, but it's amazing how relevant they are. That's why I make videos about them. This one strikes home big time, guys. So the old adage that once an addict, always an addict is no longer applicable. Certainly isn't to me. And it goes on to speak about a whole bunch of very specific meeting related stuff, but I'm going to tailor it more to suit me and more general for everybody. Sometimes, in trying to remain humble, we want to downplay the miracle that we are receiving in recovery. But it's important to realize this is a disservice. For myself, I'm never trying to brag or even take full credit. I'm simply trying to convey the message to anyone who is still unsure that yes, if you do the work, if you develop a relationship with the higher power and cultivate that relationship, that you too will receive the blessings and that come from that. And I don't guarantee monetary rewards. What I'm talking about is if your life is unmanageable and you want your life to become manageable, and that in and of itself is enormous, guys. When you're like where I was, well, I'll get back. Let me get back. If you do the work to the best of your ability, your life will no longer be unmanageable, and things will greatly improve. And then it goes on to say, just for today, I will acknowledge the miracle of recovery, and I will be grateful for it. And that, guys, I mean, that is literally, that is how I live my life. I live in a constant state of gratitude. And it's not hard to do because, guys, I've talked about it, and I talked about it yesterday at my meeting. My life was a nightmare, self-imposed, for a very long time. And again, I don't take any great pleasure in saying that, but I take great pleasure in the fact that I now know that. And I'm now working from a place of understanding that, because you can't change what you don't think you have the ability to control. And you do. Guys, it is so hard for me to get on here, on camera, and particularly even in meetings, and try to, when I start talking about the beautiful things that happen in my life, I'm always terrified that I'm coming off as this cocky, I think I'm better than anybody, and that's not the case. And I'm not better than anybody by any means. By any means. Nobody is. Some people have more blessings, and some people have some certain strong suits, and we're all equal, and we're all deserving, and we're all the same with different situations, right? And a situation doesn't change the person that you are. And that being said, if you are having a hard time and you're struggling, right, and then you decide that you are going to take control of your life, you're going to give your will over to your higher power, who is a kind, loving, and wants nothing but the best for you. You've got to understand that, guys. That is huge. You've got to understand, again, where your attention goes, energy flows. Where what you believe, you will receive. I know I hate cliches, but guys, it's absolutely true. And I get on and I share these things, and it's funny, like, I love the feedback that I got yesterday at my, speaking at my meeting, and I'm so glad I did, I really did. And, as embarrassed I was at the moment of getting choked up while I was speaking, I don't care. Because that's how authentic I was being, and that's how much it means to me. Because again, this is a disease that wants my life, and I, for the moment at least, I've beat it, and I feel incredibly fortunate for that. Not only that, but I'm one of those people that have just got the passion for it, and that's something I never thought I'd have. Like, I used to watch people that were passionate about meetings, and I was so jealous of those people. I'm like, man, I really want what that person has, but I didn't think I could get it, and it wasn't until I understood, and I never really understood until I experienced it. It wasn't until I actually legitimately turned my will over to God. And I was given the gift of, what do they call it? Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. I'm searching for the word I'm looking for, of helplessness, right? I was literally finally beat into submission. I finally ran it so far that I just couldn't do it anymore. And that's what it took for me to get out of my own way. I had to finally literally just, understand that I physically could not do it anymore. And that was enough for me to invite God into my life, my higher power. Again, I use the term God because it's comfortable for me, guys. I don't have a definition of what I think God is. I think it's the underlying resonance of the universe. It is the energy that governs everything, that keeps the planet spinning, and gravity in motion, and all that, right? Not some gray-haired man in the clouds, you know what I mean, picking and choosing. And it is a loving and caring God or a higher power, okay? And it's when I finally started to understand that I had had faith all the time, because if I didn't have faith, why was I getting up every single time? Why was I choosing, even in my darkest days where I could have gotten over on people, choosing to be as honest as I possibly could? And guys, that's not to say I didn't make mistakes, because believe me, I made a shit ton of mistakes. And I talked about that on Monday, having to pay that $1,500 settlement that I negotiated. And I'm going to talk about that for a second. I'll get back to the topic in a second, guys, because this is important. After I made my video last night, I was doing a little bit of research, and I got a little concerned. I'm like, that whole thing just went down really kind of, like, I hope I didn't do something stupid, right? So I Googled the phone number of the constable that had called me initially. And because, first of all, I ran the company that I paid off, and I found a similar name, a company with the same name in the same town, but they're a mortgage company. And I'm thinking, oh my God, did somebody use this, East Coast Financial Company as a front, and I just get taken for a scam? Because it's very possible. There are a lot of people out there, and that's the reason I'm bringing this up, guys. You've got to be so, and I should have done more due diligence before I did. So I started looking into everything last night, and I ran the constable's number, because again, I something I never do. I never trust anything incoming. I only trust what I seek online and then go after myself. Like, never click a link in an email. Never click a link in a text that says it's something financial, and I shouldn't have just accepted by the fact that my caller ID said constable, that it was a constable. I should have required proof. And when I looked up Constable Powers' office out of Franklin, it was a different phone number. And I said, oh, Jesus, here we go. Tell me this wasn't a scam. And when I ran the phone number that called me, it came right up on Reddit as possible scam. I'm like, but it did say constable out of Norfolk County, Dedham Court, Franklin, Mass. I'm like, well, it lines up. So what I did was I went to the Yellow Pages, and I looked up Constable Powers' office, and I called there today. And I caught the constable, not the same one I spoke to, but I caught the constable walking out of the courthouse, and he was a gentleman. I said, sir, my name's Patrick Kelly. I just went through this. I paid the settlement, and now I'm concerned that I might have paid a scam. Is it possible for me to be able to run the information that I was given and verify it? And he goes, oh, actually, I think I might recognize your name. And he goes, but, text me the information when we get back to the office. When I get back to the office, I'll verify it for you. And the guy was great. And as a matter of fact, I started mentioning the people that I dealt with, and he said, okay, he goes, I can tell you this much. I do know all those names, and we do deal with East Coast Financial, and, and everything lined up, and I felt so much better. But I did go ahead and text him, because the other thing he's going to do is he's going to make sure they follow through and report it to my credit bureau as satisfied in full, so that I will get the credit on my, I will get a positive rating for that negative mark on my credit report. And I only have like 3 total negative, so that's huge. It's going to help my credit huge. And now here I am, satisfied and so incredibly grateful that I didn't get scammed for $1,500, and I can move on from that. But my point being, guys, always follow through. That's what I should have done before I ran to the post office and bought a money order for all that money. I should have Googled the constable's office, Googled the company, and I should have reached out and then directly from my end verified these people that I was dealing with, because it's very easy for people to scam, and that could have very easily have been a scam, and I would have just been taken for $1,500, and I'd be beside myself right now. Again, it's not making a difference in my life day to day, but again, it would eat at me brutally. I get inundated with attempted scams on TikTok literally on a daily basis, and it's literally come to the point where I'm no longer dealing, or I'm no longer talking to anybody on that site, and it's a shame. I get hundreds of message requests every day, and literally, guys, every single one that I've responded to, every single one without fail, give or take 1 or 2, have been a scam. And I'm done. I'm just done. And for all I know, I could have opened myself up for this scam. Had that been a scam yesterday, that's how it would have got to me. It would have been through my naivety of trying to help people on TikTok, knowing full well it's just it's throwing your bloody leg into shark-infested waters. And sometimes you gotta be more discerning, because I'm not willing to let that ruin my mood. So I will collaborate with anybody who's willing to video chat with me on email and verify who they are, and anybody through on YouTube, because we don't have that problem here, thank God. But that's my point, guys, is always double check before you send money. I didn't. I'm very fortunate I didn't scammed, and I'm very grateful that I did not. But again, so my point being, guys, is it's shocking what has happened in my life. If you guys follow me regularly, you know this. I mean, just over 6 months ago, I was, $12,000 in debt just to my landlord, looking at eviction. I was an absolute hopeless wreck of a mess. I had no idea where I was going in life, what I was doing. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I was staying awake for 15, 16 days at a time. I was knocking at death's door, guys. I looked like hell. I looked like absolute hell. And I felt like absolute hell. And I looked at myself in the worst possible light. And today, that is so far from the truth. Yesterday, oh yeah, I talked about that. I've got to try and post that op-ed that I wrote for the Harvard paper yesterday on overcoming addiction, because I'm so incredibly proud of what I did there. It made me feel really good that I learned as much as I have, and I was able to articulate as well as I was my point, and it really made my day. But these are the gifts in recovery, guys. It's about the most important thing you have is your relationship with yourself and your relationship with the higher power. When you cultivate that, and when you get to a point where you're passionate about your own life and you actually like the person that you're becoming, life will start to get better. There's absolutely no question of that. And again, I'm not going to sit there and tell you X, Y, and Z is going to happen, because I don't know. Everybody's situation is different. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a psychic, and I'm not pretending to be. But I absolutely assure you that if you're struggling and you're not enjoying where you are in life right now, cut the ties. Have the intestinal fortitude, the guts, to stand up, stop the bullshit, stop the momentum. And that's the most important thing, guys, and that's the hardest thing, and especially for me. All that momentum was just going for decades and decades, and that's what the point that I try to get across. I was constantly, something I talked about yesterday. I missed so much of my story yesterday, but there were certain parts of it that I was very proud of. And one of them being the fact that I was able to look back and understand that I have worked so goddamn hard my whole life just to keep my head above water. And I often was not able to, and it was my own fault, because the minute I would get on top of something, I would let up and I would go do something stupid and cause myself all sorts of bullshit all over again. And then I'd fight for years to dig out from underneath that, and the minute I get out from under it, I just do it again. And that's what we do in addiction, guys, and it's terrible. It's literally the definition of insanity, doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. I don't do that today, guys. I do different things today and expect good results because I do good things. And I'm not exceptional in any way, shape, or form other than my desire and my willingness. It's the only thing I have that others may not, guys. And again, and that's something anybody can have. That is a personal decision that you make. And I don't say any of these things to ever call anybody out. I do these things, I tell you these things to empower you. Because as soon as you become empowered with the belief that you can do it, then you can do it. It's literally that simple. I mean, I know it's not that simple, but the steps to get things going, it is that simple, guys. You have to believe that you're capable of doing it, because you are capable of doing it. Guys, if I can get this far ahead in 6 months with everything I did to myself, guys, I hate to have to say these things, but I say these things so people understand. My self-esteem was so incredibly low because I made every bad decision possible. Guys, I at times have physically sold myself for drugs. That's horrible. That's like the hardest thing in the world for me to acknowledge. But I say these things because I know there's other people out here that have, and I don't want them to think that I had it easier than them, and that's why I'm able to get to where I am. No, I've been there, guys. I've seen the absolute worst of the worst, and then much more than that. That's one thing. That's one place my story is exceptional. I'm a very hard-headed, very strong-willed, very hard-working, and I ran myself like so much further, deeper, so much darker than it ever had to be. But it took that long for me to start finally believing in myself, and I believe today. I believe it was for the reason that I was going to, God wanted me to get that experience, strength, and hope, and then get to a level where I could relate with any person going through anything and know what they're going through, because I'd been there myself, and then help them through the situation and show them that it's possible. Because the most important thing I can sit here and preach all day long, the most important thing I can do is to live a better life and show people what's possible. And that's the feedback that I got at the meeting yesterday that made my day. Is people telling me they remembered the day that I walked in, and they saw the spark of hope in me, and they saw, they've seen what I've done over the time that I've been here, and that's amazing, guys. I absolutely love that. That means that means the absolute world to me. It's great. Anybody can. You can do this. That's the most important takeoff from every lesson that I put out here, guys. I'm sharing steps to help you get there, but you can get there. And if you need help, by all means, drop me a comment or send me an email if you want to keep it private. I'll never put your information out online, and I'm happy to collaborate with anybody through my email. It's listed on the channel, and I will literally, you tell me your exact situation. I will help you find resources, find what you need, coach you, and get you in the right direction, cheer you on, to let you know that you're capable. Nothing is impossible because I'm possible. Remember that. The word impossible is really I'm possible. And that's a very important distinction. Guys, that's pretty much the lesson for today. We do recover. Recovery is possible, and if you decide you want it, you can come and get it. That's all it takes. Guys, God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the next one.